This is Maddie Foster. I'm recording my grandpa talking about the pastimes that you did in high school and throughout his life.
Okay. Well, when we were in school, we went to 6th grade. We didn't have kindergarten back then. We had 1st grade to 6th grade, and that we went to Unity School. And then in 7th and 8th grade, they combined all the schools, Negley, Unity, and Palestine schools, and we went to the junior high building. And the junior high building is where the middle school is now. And, well, I guess it's the elementary now, I guess. But anyway, the new building, it wasn't that. We had a big high fire escape, was metal, came down 3 flights of stairs out into the playground. When they had a fire alarm, it was really scary because it was a metal escape route. And it used to be I can remember the girls playing hopscotch on the sidewalks and drawing things with chalk. I can remember them doing that. Of course, you know, we were boys. We didn't play hopscotch. We played baseball, basketball, that stuff. And as we went through school, they used to have, we had a cafeteria, and you could pack your lunch. But when you got into the high school part of the building, you had a lunch break. You had a lunchtime, and we used to go down to Davies or Huck's, and you could buy your lunch for 35 cents. So we'd race down there and save a place, and that was our lunch break. But then when we got to be 16, Perry Fennell was a fellow from my class, and he got a big old Cadillac, and we could put 16 people in that Cadillac, and we would pull in and get gas, and gas was like 10 cents a gallon, and everybody had a nickel, and we'd ride around that Cadillac on our lunch hour. And we didn't get in no trouble, but, you know, this was clean stuff that we did. But times have changed in such a way, like I said, I can remember the park was nothing but the park, a swimming pool. The swimming pool was not as fancy as it is now, but it was a swimming pool. And I can remember us, we used to crawl over the fence when we went down to stay with somebody. We'd crawl over the fence and go swimming at night. The cops would chase us. But I don't think you kids do that stuff now. But anyhow, it has changed in such a way, it's just like anything in life has changed. I mean, I've lived and seen more stuff because of my age. When I became 11 or 12, everything was changing from horses to tractors. I worked ground with horses, farmed with horses, mowed with horses, cultivated. Then we got tractors when I was in junior high. And from then it was like the farm. Back then the farm was the big thing at Royal Community, and the farm boys would get off to farm at home. Sometimes, I mean, you didn't even have to go to school because you were helping your parents farm at home. That was just how it was given. They would excuse you back then. Now they would never do that. It was the time, well, like I said, we'd wrap our baby up and lay it in the front seat and put a pillow there alongside it to hold on the seat. You have to have a seat belts, car seats, everything. The changing of the times, and we never had seat belts. I mean, you know, it's just everything has changed so much and became such, shall I say it, government oriented, where they can tell you I mean, I was driving a tractor when I was 4 and 5 years old to load hay, and now you can't drive a tractor on a farm until you take tractor training, and that has to be at least 11 or older to take this. Like I was a farm boy, still am a farm boy, but milking cows, I says we drank raw milk.
Did you guys deliver to people?
My My parents delivered it. I didn't have to deliver it to people. I would milk cows, and we put it in milk cans. That's how it was when I was younger. And Mike Nimitz used to come and pick up the 10-gallon milk cans and take it to Petersburg Creamery, and then they would bottle it, pasteurize it, make it into ice cream, whatever they did to it, and sell it up there. But we sold it by the gallon. Sometimes when it snowed so hard, the road out here was one-lane traffic. We had to take it on a bobsled to the creamery in Petersburg because the milkman couldn't get in. So we'd load the cans in the back of the bobsled and take it to the. And Dan was the horse they drove that took it in. It was bulk tank when they changed over to having bulk tank. And then the government said every cow has to be tested. Everything has to be blood typed, vaccinated. You couldn't ship milk if the cows weren't. All this was done. So it was like everything. The government has changed for the cattle, for the farming. And just like now, it is a place where there's few and far dairy farms in between. It used to be everybody in the neighborhood was dairy farms out here. Lived in unity. And I can probably tell you 27 dairy farms that used to be here in this area, and there's only one up in Petersburg.
Can you name a few?
Oh, there was Johnny Foster had a dairy farm. Bus Foster had a dairy farm. Jim Foster had a dairy farm. Foxes had a dairy farm. Savers has had dairy farms. There was two brothers Savers over there that had dairy farms. Everybody had milk cows. Milk cows was the way of life. And then they got, I'll tell you what I think happened. And, then again, I'm an old man and I just see things this way. They got the cows to where they produced more milk and more milk and more milk. And then the people were drinking less milk and less milk. We were raised on raw milk. We drank milk out of the cows, out of the bulk tank. That's how we were raised on. Now they say you can't do that to a baby. They have to feed you formula. They would pasteurize the milk and add Karo syrup to it and water it down if it was Jersey milk, because Jersey milk is high in butter fat and Holstein's wasn't. And everything. We drank water out of a hose. We lived with lead paint. And we went to school and learned. I mean, it just is, I can look back on a lot of things and think, okay, because of the time changed, they put a lot of farmers out of business with this milk programs now. I went through a stage where if I would get so much money per 100 pounds of milk if I only set so much milk. So I would go down and drain so many gallons of milk off of my bulk tank, because I only could send so much to get my base pay. And I would make butter, cottage cheese, and I would take it to all the neighbors and give it to all the old people in the neighborhood, because they all were raised like I was with cottage cheese and butter. So I made this stuff, buttermilk. And we used to, like I say, everybody would neighbors would get together and butcher their cows, butcher their pigs. Everybody would raise a pig, and every fall, everybody would get together, and we made cracklings, we made lard, we made sausage, we made head cheese. When you say head cheese, people don't even know what that is, but it was made out of the head meat of a pig. And everybody worked together. When they thrashed, it used to be when they thrashed and did crops, the neighbors, they would start one neighbor and they just go all through the neighborhood, and everybody would help. Everybody took a pitchfork and a wagon. And if you had a good team of horses, you took a team of horses. But it got to the place where they got combines. Now, my dad, one of his brothers had a combine. One of his brothers had a baler. And my dad had a forage harvester. So we filled all the silos. Uncle Johnny did all the baling. But we had to bale all his hay first, and then they would bale ours. And I says, Uncle Bus did all the combining. And that's just how everybody helped everybody, and everybody worked with everybody. But it's not no longer like that because of lawyers and suing and somebody getting hurt. And back then, everybody just helped everybody, and everybody knew the neighbors. Now we know few neighbors, but we don't know neighbors like we did back then. I mean, at our house, my mother would bake pies, 10 and 12 pies, every Saturday morning and make homemade bread. And Saturday night came, if we went dancing or something, everybody came here and everybody would have pies. And we could play cards until 2 o'clock. Then my mom said, everybody's got to go home now. But that's how it was done. And on Sundays, everybody came and we rode horses. Of course, we had a whole bunch of horses back then, too. We swam at the creek. We didn't swim at a swimming pool. We had a creek that ran through the farm down in the bottom. We all swam at the creek, and everybody knew we swam at the creek, so everybody brought bathing suits. It's all just changed. It's like, I'm not saying it's better or worse, but it's a changing of the times. And it would be like we all had jobs. My parents used to raise 1,600 turkeys every year, and we would dress them and sell them to everybody in Palestine, and a lot of them went to Youngstown, and we'd sell them dressed, and we'd have to dress them. We'd dress 200 or 300 turkeys in an evening for the next day. But the family, everybody had a job. My job was to cut the heads off and scald them, and I give my dad on the picker, and he would run over the picker, and somebody would take and gut them. And they were put in cold water, and then somebody'd have to clean the gizzards, and somebody had to count the liver and every hearts. And so every next morning, everybody go down when the water was cold, ice was in on them. They were all cooled out. You had to put a heart, 2 decent-sized pieces of liver in them, and a gizzard, and a neck. And you had to put them in the turkeys. You had to drain the water out. You had to bag them. You had to weigh them, put the weight on them, and then they were sold for so much a pound. So my mother would mark on it how much that turkey was worth. We would deliver it. People would call and tell us what the size they wanted, so we would try to match the pound with what they wanted. Farming was our lives, and it's not that way anymore. Everybody has to work away to have a farm. They have to do something else to do a farm. And even in Palestine school district, I says, shoes. I can remember you got a pair of shoes beginning of school. That's a pair of shoes you got. And you took care of them. When we was home, we went in our bare feet. But that was how it was back then. I don't know what your teacher's going to think about all this stuff.
It's Mrs. Randolph. You're okay.
I'm okay. But Palestine has changed. It growed. It's growed with the kids. And did I think I would be talking to a phone that you can see us on and all that stuff? No. I mean, we had a phone. You rang a dingy, 1 ring a dingy, 2 ring a dingies, and it just and one neighbor had a phone, and 2 or 3 other neighbors didn't. So you'd go use the phone back then. That was just how it was. And you had party calls. Sometimes you'd have 2 or 3 people or 4 people, and they'd pick it up, and you could have to wait till somebody got off of it before you could make your call. That's how it was. We had one neighbor that always was hooking up his snails to go take his girlfriend for a ride. Anyway, they're dead and gone now, but that was the conversation. You would hear it, and we'd all snicker and laugh because we were kids. Let's see. I guess it's changed for the good in some ways. And in some ways, I'd like to go back. Slow it down, not such a fast pace. I mean, after we got the cow's milk, we'd go riding horses at night. It was just like things we looked forward to, things that we did, enjoyment. We didn't go to movies, now and again we did do, when we got older we went to some movies. Midway drive-in. We'd hide in the trunk of the car and go through and watch the movies. When we got inside, we'd put everybody out of the trunk and we'd watch the movies. But we did. We had fun. It was clean fun. It wasn't the stuff they have nowadays. It wasn't alcohol and drugs and how everything is. But it just was a different life, a good life. And we're still associated with your grandmother's side of the family from Bessemer. We're the farm. We're going to the farm. That's how it was. They're all coming to the farm. I was proud to be that farmer. I still am. But just like delivering calves, I mean, you didn't have a vet for everything. Some people have vets for everything. I've delivered calves, colts, pigs. I've did it all. And even a baby. So I said, you talk about, nope. And did I think or plan all these things? No. It just, you did what you had to do to make a living. And as the school goes, it's better. They're learning more stuff than I ever learned. Of course, back then it was reading, writing, and arithmetic. Now it's not. It's a little bit of everything different. And, but I enjoyed school. I had fun. Of course, that's probably some of the reasons why that's where I ended up the way I ended up, because I went to the service. A lot of the kids I was in school with went to college, so they didn't go to the service. But it's still nice to stand up and salute that flag. And going to your cousin's graduation up at Youngstown State, getting to stand with your cousin Johnny and salute that flag. That was a highlight of my life. That's one of the highlights of my life. Don't take much to make this old man happy. You make me happy. So there you are. You can tell your teacher Shiva makes me happy. So there we go. How's that sound? Good?
Yeah, it's good.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. You're quite welcome. You know that. All right.